Good afternoon. Thanks for joining me for this quick overview of the communications tools available through our ZSuite software. The tools themselves are pretty easy to use, so we'll be focusing on how to apply them in your day-to-day work. We reach our 4-H families through a variety of channels and mediums. Many of these are digital and connect through the information we gather in ZSuite. So, what things do we communicate with our 4-H membership? Things like enrollment or re-enrollment. We want to make them aware of the programs that we're offering. We also want to keep them up to date on our programs and any changes that may take place. One of the most common requests is what clubs we offer and how they can join. We also want to offer information on how to register for our events. For a minute, think about who we're communicating with in our messaging. We're youth development, so this seems like the right crowd. But really, it's the adults who get the kids to the programming. So what goes on at 4-H meetings, fairs, and events is designed for youth, but parents need the key logistical information to get the kids to the programming. All right, we have an idea of what we're communicating and who we're sending it to, but what does it look like? How is it received on the other end? Once upon a time, we used to send out flyers and calendars of what was going on in our county 4-H programs. Often these were attached to the kitchen refrigerator with a magnet. Today, 4-H operates in a competitive environment with a variety of extracurricular activities youth participate in. Today, adults learn about our programs through their phones. Our communications need to be formatted for accessibility on mobile devices. And while most of them do, all of our communications should point to the next step we want people to take, whether that's getting more information, downloading a document, or registering for an event. We'll be looking at 4 tools in ZSuite that help us get our message out to 4-H families.
Okay, so now I'm going to take you into, my ZSuite screen and walk you through some of the things. I also have a handout that I'll be sending out after the meeting, so you're not looking at it during the presentation. And this walks you through most of what I'm going to tell you here. So you'll have something to reference. You probably don't need to worry about taking notes. Okay, so here's our ZSuite dashboard, probably what, a lot of you look at every day when you log into the program. One thing that's really deceptive about this, for me anyway, is that I log on and I see programs up under announcements. And in my mind, that kind of says, oh, okay, that's out there. That, the families have it. Um, everybody's set and ready to go with the Z Suite, whatever programs I put in announcements. But we need to keep in mind that, unless the family's logging into Z Suite, they're not going to see this as we do. So let's take a look at announcements to begin with. If you go to the bottom of the screen, it's where you can click to add announcements. And you click this button to add them. Just while I'm on this screen with announcements, you'll see there's a hierarchy here. All right, the 2 announcements that are up here were both set up at the state level, so you can't edit them. Any announcements that you add, you can edit, and you can also arrange them. This pinned and pinned position allows you to arrange the order of the announcements that appear on the desktop or on, your program. So if you're creating an announcement, you just hit the green button. You give your announcement a title up here, and you have a choice. Now you can send announcements to everybody in the county, or you can choose just clubs. So if there were something on, say, a horse program, you might only want to share that with people who are in your horse project. So you could identify the clubs, your horse clubs, and send it to them. You also have this piece, which is your expiration date. This tells you how long the announcement stays up. And usually you're going to set that to when the registration date expires, or maybe until the day of the program or the day after the program, so that, new announcements keep filling up the space. You have the option to put a video link in. So if you happen to have a little bit of footage that you got up onto YouTube or another service, you could put the link in here. So say you had 15 or 20 seconds of what last year's St. Patrick's Day parade looked like. You could include a link to that here, or footage from your county fair. It's a nice little feature if you have some video that you're able to post. The meat of your message is going to come down here in the text editor, and you have your basic controls for formatting the text. You can set up links in it. You can use special characters if you like. You can arrange which side of the text block the text aligns. But the other thing you can do is cut and paste a graphic in there, which I think a few people have figured out how to do. So you can cut and paste the graphic and then add your text and then save it, and you're all set to go. So that would, post things right up onto your announcements on your dashboard. Couple things in formatting that I try to do, include links, hyperlinks, so that people can get more information or it takes them to the next step. I tend to bold the date and time of a program, so that people kind of register with that. And then if there's, in this case, I put the Zoom meeting link up there. Uh, the other announcement we have up here is for, an event in Hunterdon County. And I like to highlight things like when and where and registration, and just things that somebody casually looking through here might want to have as part of their decision process. So that's announcements. That's, a great vehicle for posting early information, maybe save the date information for an event that's coming up. The next thing I want to talk about are shared files. All right, these are ways to share files with your leaders, with your 4-H members, and in some cases with people in other counties. You can see up here that each one of these files shows at what level it was posted. So these are all county. This was a horse show judges directory that Brittany Rigg put up there. That's a state level one. And you won't see at this level, club level, but club leaders are able to use this same feature in their access to Z Suite. So they can share files with their members. You can see here, I've used it to share. I don't know how your counties are, but we frequently get clubs who come in and say, can you make us 25 copies of this handout for my club? And we're like, well, when's it meeting? 3 hours. And so, we hustle to do that. But we found it useful to share the files here. This pushes it to the club's leader. So they have the opportunity then to share this with their members, or to add it to their club's page, so that if somebody misses the meeting or somebody loses the handout, they can always retrieve it later. Another handy thing with shared files, one, you can download it. That's the obvious one. But this part, copy the file path. All right, this is a way, if you're sending an email and you want to include access to a document without an attachment, you can create a hyperlink that, from clicking this. So instead of using attachments, you can use this to attach files to your email. And, in some cases, the handouts I've tried to build here are things that I anticipate the club may be using again and again. So this gives me kind of an archive of the handout. So if, say you had something on, trimming hooves. Maybe a lot of your, livestock clubs do a session on that, and they have a handout for it. You could store it here so that they can access it, you can access it, everybody can get to it. So to add those, you go to the bottom of the category, click on it. Again, you click here to share the file. From here, you have the option of, downloading it and editing it if you want to make changes to it later. Adding a shared file is pretty simple. You give it a name. Again, you can leave an expiration date, and you can share it with different projects. So again, if you had something that was project specific, say you have multiple horse clubs and you have something that Brittany sent on equine herpes, and you want to share it with everybody who's in the horse project, you can find that down here, and select that. You can also choose to share it with, the different clubs in your county. So you can, pick from here, bit by bit's a horse club. So, that would set this up to go to, everybody in the horse club and everybody who's registered for that project. Then it's a matter of just dragging and dropping the file on here, saving it, and you're good to go. So, and again, you'll see the different levels at which these are set. You can always delete it later if it starts to get too busy on your desktop. So, back to the dashboard. Another thing that we share information through are newsletters, and there are two ways to handle newsletters. And the thing is, they're not entirely compatible. You have your newsletters choice here, and your members and families will have this option on their menu. And this gives you a rundown of, an archive of all your newsletters. And you can edit or change that. Basically, it's set up. Again, you go to the bottom, click that, and you can upload a PDF of your newsletter. And this keeps them all in order for any of your families if you do your newsletter in a PDF format. Now, some people don't use that, okay? It's becoming more common to do it through email. And we have, you guys remember MailJet is what we started with in ZSuite. They've refined this and have started Zmail. It's still being tested. If you're interested in trying out Zmail, send me an email and I'll get this functional for your site. It's pretty intuitive. I think it works a lot like MailJet did, only it's better designed, and the most important thing is you're not sharing information with all the other counties or a subscription with all the other counties. It's individual to your county, which makes it less confusing. Just to show you what it looks like, and we'll do another session just on Zmail so that people can get used to it. But it leads you to, create, if you've used a program like WordPress, this will be very familiar, but you add different elements. So you have, this is a picture element up here. This is a headline element. This is another picture element, a headline, and then text. And right now they're working on getting it so you can do more formatting with the text. But right now you can sort of create this vertical string of boxed rectangular information. You can set up buttons so that everything that has a registration link, I made a button in the program to try to make it easier. This is a great example if you're doing flyers to use QR codes. That helps people move to the next step, to register or to learn more about sessions in this case. But this is what emails in Zmail will look like. And if you're using it for a newsletter, you can set this up. It looks a lot like what Abby does for the 4-H family newsletter. I think it's pretty easy to use. Like I said, we'll do another session just on using Zmail. And if you're interested in trying this out, let me know. I've got some basic directions, and I can get it set up for you in your county. They're going to be making some more refinements to it over the next couple months, so you can also wait to get that out there. But that's how you set up an email or a newsletter in Z Suite. The last part I want to talk about, and this I think is one of the most useful features in the program, is the calendar. You can access that from the menu, and you get a menu that's color coded with a bunch of different events. All right, so everything that's orange in the menu are local events. So this is our public presentations program. Clicking on it creates a link. You have the image, the graphic image, a little description. This gives, Tanya Patri's email address for more information, the time. We don't list the location, but we could. And the other thing you can do is include attachments. So if you're posting an event in Z Suite, it automatically puts it on the calendar. Or you can just go to the calendar and set it up, and you can add attachments to the information. So a family could come here and track down everything that's going on in 4-H in your county for a given month and potentially download attachments or other information that they might need. Red stuff is all state level. So this is, the Teen Cafe, which is happening down on campus. There are 2 sessions of it. This lists both of them. It gives the date. And at this point, when it was set up, there was more information that would be coming. So you can go back and then build that. The other color code that you're seeing here is green, and that is what is at the club level. Some of this is through Somerset County. They were able to share that on, I think, kind of a regional basis. So neighboring counties got information about this program. And again, if you didn't want to share this with your members, you could take it off, or you could update it. So again, it includes a graphic, it includes just the basic information, and you would have the opportunity to include attachments. So this is kind of a handy feature to get into to kind of forecast and see at a glance what's going on in 4-H at the county, the state, and even the club level. Club leaders also can access a calendar and post their events on there. Things like their monthly meeting, obviously, or if they're doing a field trip. However, you won't see it at the county level because the hierarchy of things sets it up so that they see it, the leader sees it, and their members see it. And if you think about if you have a lot of clubs in your county, you wouldn't want your screen, filled with all of these different club meeting things along with all your other information. So I think that's part of the reason they don't open it up to see that. So with that, I wanted to show you, well, what does it look like on the other end? What did the 4-H family see, right? So I'll show you a little trick here. You may not know this. I went with the O'Keefe family because it's March and, we're celebrating Irish heritage, right? If you open up households, you can go into this View As tab and you get to see the family's profile as they see it. Megan is the club's leader. And so when she logs in, this is what she sees. So she sees her kids that are in 4-H and the status of their memberships. She sees the clubs that she's working with, and then she sees any of the announcements, which, this one doesn't apply to her, but she gets to see it anyway. She gets to see everything that you can see on your screen for announcements. She sees files that I've shared with her. Hers is a photography club. These showed up on my screen. They're also on hers. She can create a link to send out to her members if she chooses, or she can download the materials for copies. They've thrown in this to-do feature, which I guess we can enter stuff in there. So if you want to nag a leader to finish their protection of minors training or turn in their record books or something, you could put that in here. But I don't know how effective it'll be. So as they scroll down, they get to see all their events, right? There's a card for each event listed here. There are hyperlinks in there where they can get more information. If there was registration attached to it, there would be a button here that they could hit. And that would be whether they are registering through Z Suite or if you're using Microsoft Forms or Google or Qualtrics, you can put a link in for that too. So this allows them to see, where the events are and register for them. As you set it up, you get to see, the information for these people so they can get them by mail or by phone, or if they don't want to be contacted by one of those means, it just grays out. So like in this case, you can only contact her by her email. She didn't include her phone number. So that gives you a little view of, you know, how events, what they see in their program. They can jump to their calendar here if they choose. I meant to click on this one too, so you could see on these, this I think was an external registration through another program, and the program's already happened, but it would send you to another screen to register for that. So you can set it up to go to Qualtrics or another source from the calendar if you don't want to use Z Suite. And just a reminder, like any of your leaders with clubs can access their clubs. If they go down the menu here, it may seem a little hidden, but they can access their club here. Hitting the name of the club releases a screen not unlike yours, where they can see all the members, the volunteers in their club, the members in their club. They're able to add events to their club. That comes through the menu here. I have a handout for leaders. I did a program for leaders. There's a video if they want to watch that. But a lot of the same controls that you have access to are things that they can be doing for their clubs. So if you talk with your, club leaders and you want to share this information, please do. I think club documents is really helpful for them. One thing I've done with a lot of the clubs, and just happens not this club, is I've put their charter up there, their bylaws, documents that they're going to need on a regular basis, and that from time to time, you may get a call from the state office looking for that information. So filing it with the club here gives you access and gives them access too. So you can share documents with them through the club documents interface. And you can also share files. And this shared files shares it with the members. So that's most of what I was going to cover. I said I'd do it in a half hour, and I'm like under time, which is amazing for me. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything I can answer for you? Pretty quiet out there. I'll stop sharing. Oh, wait. Something in the chat. Okay. I think I corrected the screen issue. Thanks, Christine. Does anybody have any questions I can answer on this for you? Okay. You can send out emails through the Zmail system. A member would have to be monitoring their email, their email client to know that they went out. Now, there is a way after you've sent them out. There's an analytics where you can determine if the email bounced or if it was delivered. And then there's that additional thing that says they had some interaction with the email. You can't assume they read it, but they clicked on it at least. So you have those analytics to kind of figure out, if your emails went out, who got them. Is there anything else I can answer for folks today? I know this was a short session, and I wanted to keep it really simple. Like I said, I'll send out a handout which covers everything I said today, and it might be a good quick reference guide. Um, Plans for a future session will be just focusing on Zmail and how to use that. Again, it's a much simpler version of the MailJet program that we were using. The distribution list that you created in MailJet will still be active, so you don't have to rebuild those. And you attach them to your email the same way. So that the setup is very similar to what you've already learned. So, okay. Well, thanks for coming out today. Like I said, this is recorded. I'll share the link with people. We'll be doing a session hopefully in a couple weeks on Zmail. And in future sessions, we'll go into more detail on things like how to create reports in Z Suite and event registration. And I know a lot of folks, have their own event registration set up in Microsoft or Google or Qualtrics. And I understand that may be simpler, but we're hoping in the next couple months to get electronic payment active in Z Suite. Okay, and if we're able to do that, then we're creating a one-stop shop for people to log into their Z Suite account and register for 4-H programs, and for you guys to get the money in your office to process payments. So we think that's going to make life easier. We'll see. But in any case, we're working on it to make improvements and make the system better and more useful for everyone. Most times, I think our families, use Z Suite to enroll. They come to the program once a year. We're trying to build a relationship with the program where they can come to Z Suite and find information on 4-H programming. Maybe they saw an email, but they can't remember what the program was. But we want them to know you can find the information about your 4-H programming on Z Suite and try to set up a reliable resource for our 4-H families. All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming out today, and hopefully we'll have another program in a few weeks. Thanks for coming. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye now.